I really am kind of happy where I'm at, and I still think things are going to happen in the world of acting. Maybe I just feel it. I've gotten very confident, not cocky. I just am really confident, and something wonderful is just happening. And maybe it's a true crime show or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, like a lot of us kind of go through this life arc where you're trying, and then something just explodes. Like in my case, it was just basically interviewing all these SoundCloud rappers before that became totally commonplace, you know? And for you, it became basically just being fucking, living in the same place as a extremely famous crime. But then at some point, you've gone through that experience and you kind of just have to figure out what the fuck you're doing with your life and what you can make of this. And, you know, it's really at the end of the day, like what is going to make you happy is, you know, spending time with your family, your loved ones, being able to have a good life. And maybe at a certain point you think like either you're dreaming about being super famous or whatever. And then you kind of get there and you realize like, that was cool. It's still cool, but you know, ultimately, like, what do I want from my life? It's not really necessarily to be the most famous person possible. It's just to be comfortable, be able to take care of the people around me, etc.
Well, I'm gonna, like I said, I didn't have time when I didn't know if I could send you stuff and all that. So I want to show you something, maybe even after we're done, and you can comment. It's a 2-minute something that they did with a buddy of mine. Honestly, it's like, oh, Kato, you're saying it's brilliant. It's brilliant. I'm going to have your honest opinion on something that I shot and with a huge company. And I think it's so good, but because it's a true crime show and basically it's called Wrong Place, Wrong Time. But for you to see how hard it is in this world of networks now not having so much money, or people that call you in, you go to 3 meetings, and if you get 2 meetings, in the same company, you're going, oh, I sold. This is a done deal. Right. When you get 3, it's like, what are they waiting? Let's just sign this thing. So it's happened on something that I did 4 times on this 4 times. And it's like, what's going on? So I'm going, is it because they don't like, or is it because of me? But it's the most perfect role for me that I did with a buddy. And after this, I want you to see it. If you can comment on your own, if you ever do like inserts.
Yeah.
But I want to share it with you after talking to you.
No, I would love to check that out. But I mean, that's interesting you said that. That's the vibe, is that these production companies that maybe used to have big budgets, that these days they're trying to make something on a shoestring for the most part.
No, the production companies, it's put money. It's the networks and all, because they have to, or if they order 10 episodes, it's like they look at a budget. It's like we had a meeting with CBS and they even said, you have to go to companies like Netflix and Hulu. They've got all the money. So it's like, well, it's just become growing up. It's totally different now. Networks have money, but the money is in Netflix and Amazon.
Yeah.
So it's just amazing. I had a buddy of mine that just did an Amazon series with David Harbour, who's I think one of the best actors, with Jason Bateman in that. And he shot in the amount of money that they paid my friend. It just blows me away. I'm like, what am I doing wrong? I mean, it's unfathomable how much money they have. So it's like, okay, that's probably why I'm thinking it's got to be so close for me.
Yeah,
all these things, all these people are coming in, and he is a big shot, and he saw what I'm going to show you, and he is just like, Kato, this is great. So
definitely,
we'll see.
I was just wondering, like, as you get older, because I told you before, and I almost felt bad saying this, even though I don't think this is something that you would give a shit about anyway. But like my wife, when I said, dude, I got a Kato Kaelin interview on Wednesday, I see her on ChatGPT asking who's Kato Kaelin. That's got to be kind of a weird feeling that she's only 8 years younger than me. She should realistically,
right?
Although I guess in 1996 she was 6 years old, so maybe not. But
Netflix is what brought it back, I think. But
yeah. And she did watch the whole series, so that's why she should have known.
And the other one that was with Ryan Murphy. They won like 17, or nominated for 17. They won 8 Emmys. That was the one that John Travolta played Shapiro, and Billy Magnuson was Kato, and he was in No Time to Die, the Bond film.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, dude, that guy's on fire. He played in Kato.
But is that a weird feeling to have? Like multiple younger generations to which that whole storyline that consumed America and your life is kind of like, ancient history? Is that kind of a strange feeling sometimes?
Yeah, completely. It's funny because when I was even doing the emceeing and all that, the parents with their kids of the Comic-Cons, they would go, "Do you know what that is?" And the kids, they didn't know. No, they saw me as the MC, but the parents all knew who I was. So for me, it was cathartic. It was that's kind of a good vibe.
Yeah.
They're not associating me with the OJ trial. And when I did the show called Eye for an Eye, I was the host. It was 147 episodes. It was on in LA. It was syndicated, but it was on everywhere in the world. When I would go to airports and people would ask me about that show and the judge's name, Extreme Hakeem, they go, Extreme Hakeem. I was like, oh my God, the good stuff's happening. People are seeing me for this show. And that, by the way, was best thing for me because it was financially great. I was hosting a national show. It was like, wow. And 147 episodes is a lot.
No,
and people
amazing,
kind of recognize, and so it had some legs for me to do.
I wanted to ask you about the time period of this whole trial going on. It essentially kind of started to be viewed through the prism of like a racial conflict in America, where it was very much the traditional white mainstream, etc., and then black people who were in particular, especially in LA, very upset about the Rodney King verdict. And at one point, one of the jurors even basically said that the majority of the jurors didn't actually think that OJ was innocent, but they felt like some kind of retribution was needed. I don't know how literal that was. I think that's been kind of, ChatGPT says that's been kind of skewed and exaggerated, but in general, like, what was it like being around that climate at that time?
Well, I think part of the riots of the Rodney King riots,
which led to the LA riots as well.
Yeah, the LA riots were happening, all that. I mean, the whole city was on fire. Parts of Santa Monica, I mean, West Hollywood, they're still flaming. I'm kidding. But I had some kind of humor in there because it's so serious, which I love. Parts are still flaming, So, but because I did so many interviews, back in the day, I had a convertible, like a Beamer. People would come I got it for a week and I was like, I got rid of it. People would come up to you violently or not. Spitting on me was common. I got spit on a lot.
What?
Oh yeah. But because of the divide by the media showing black and white, you knew there were going to be riots. If I think if he's not seen as not guilty verdict that happened, I don't know if someone went in the juror. I can't say, but I gotta imagine they're thinking there's going to be riots again. The city was going to be, on fire.
Yeah. So
who's to know? The jury made a decision. Maybe it's based on Barry Scheck's brilliant DNA analysis. I don't know, because I think it was 100%. Race relations went so far backwards, especially in LA.
Yeah.
It was all about race. The defense totally played a race card, and it was pretty obvious. Everybody, I think, that had a brain that was watching on the newscast, they knew they played a race card. And Johnny Cochran, late Cochran, Johnny Cochran, was brilliant because he knew how he could play it, I think.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, that is, as a lawyer, this is your job to do the best job you can defending your client.
Yeah.
But when you look at that, it really f***s society up. And I remember even just the discussion of the race card was kind of like a fascinating thing. I'm like 12 when all this is going on.
Yeah.
But I recognize that there was something unique about this, where you're having people acknowledge publicly that race was something that could be used to skew public opinion, which I don't really recall being discussed in that way prior to that. In fact, I feel like the OJ trial was the first time we ever heard the N-word used publicly. I don't know if it was ever really used before that.
No, never used. And that was another huge part of the case of when Furman kept pleading the fifth, and Detective Lang, he says that was the case. They knew that as soon as they could ask any kind of question, if he keeps pleading the fifth, it was like, it was defeating to the LAPD. So the case became more about the racism with the LAPD and detectives. So, the jury's hearing this and they're making mind up going, well, they're kind of right. There could be going on with Rodney King. This is getting beat up in Simi Valley. So I think it plays in their mind of reasonable doubt.